The mainstream media hit an all-time fake news high over the last couple of days. We're going to analyze. NBC went beyond embarrassing itself yesterday. Now, in this climate, news outlets should care about accuracy, the veracity of their reporting, because they're being accused of being fake news many, many times a day by President Trump, his allies, even people like me, other conservatives out there, Kurt Schlichter, many of the people you know from The Rebel and from other sources. Well, NBC yesterday reported, it was a ridiculously silly report. NBC reported that Michael Cohen's phones were wiretapped, that President Trump was picked up calling Michael Cohen from the White House on a wiretap, and that Rudy Giuliani warned him against the things he said, except none of it happened. They had a trap, not a tap, on Michael Cohen's lines. In other words, they were able to see who was calling him and when they were calling, but they were not able to listen to the sum and substance of the phone calls. That is a very significant difference. But it didn't matter to NBC. Now, I don't want to hear anymore that, well, it's young reporters and editors putting these stories together and they don't understand the investigative nuances of tap and trap. And that's what they're paid to do. They're paid to report the truth. Now, Fox News did a good recap on the story, and I'll read you some of the excerpts. Fox News has learned that federal investigators kept a register of phone calls, as said, made by President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, but those calls were not recorded. Sources with knowledge of the proceedings told Fox News that investigators used a pen register or dialed number recorder on at least one of Cohen's phones. A pen register records all numbers dialed from a given phone as well as the length of each call. That's very, very different than a wiretap that listens in. Now, Tom Winter, whoever Tom Winter is, he's an NBC investigations reporter. He tweeted, and I don't really listen. That goes on these days. But Tom Winter reported on this. Then he tweeted out yesterday evening about 5:30 Eastern time. Correction. Earlier today, NBC News and this reporter said that Michael Cohen's phone lines were wiretapped. 3 senior U.S. officials now dispute that, saying the monitoring was limited to a log of calls, a pen register, not a wiretap of Cohen's line. We will continue to report. Why did that story run in the first place? Are there no editorial standards in the mainstream media anymore? Look, I tell you this all the time, but I mean it. I could never have reported that story here at The Rebel. My managing editor would never have let me report that story, sourced the way this story was. This is NBC. They have far more editorial resources than we do. But it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter. Now, NBC also reported, according to Fox, like I mentioned a bit ago, that the New York City's one-time mayor, Rudy Giuliani, now on Trump's legal team, learned that Trump had made a post-raid call to Cohen. And Giuliani reportedly told Trump not to call again out of concern that the conversation could be recorded. But I don't know if I believe that. I don't believe anything the mainstream media says. Nothing. Because I think at this point, all they're concerned with is gotcha, is saying, ha, we were right about Russia collusion. We're going to vindicate Jake Tapper and Brian Stelter and Maggie Haberman and Glenn Thrush and the Washington Post editorial board and our friends over at CBS and ABC and MSNBC. We've got to make sure they're right. And the the mainstream media cabal, led by outlets like MSNBC and CNN and ABC and CBS, the New York Times, the Washington Post, they're all in this together. They all help the Democrats push this false narrative of Russia collusion. And now they're trying to figure out how to make fantasy a reality. They have to, because they're completely discredited. People are moving to Fox. People are moving to outlets like The Rebel and our digital competitors and colleagues. Sinclair Broadcasting, the largest owner of independent television stations in the country, is about to do a deal with Tribune and Company, an acquisition, and they are going to challenge for the conservative news space the liberal media. The liberal media might have an audience in people that hate Donald Trump, but what they don't have is credibility. And without credibility, you have nothing. You're an echo chamber. This report is beyond bad. Now, I know we're desensitized to fake news. We're incredibly desensitized to all this, but we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. And we're desensitized to it because we're so used to it. The mainstream media has begun to do something. It's so hysterical about Donald Trump that when they get a sliver of red meat that could possibly be damaging to him, they're far more concerned with being first to put that news out than they are with being right and bringing you accurate reporting. And that is the antithesis of what the news business is supposed to be. It's a travesty. It serves no purpose. And it really, really does a great job of undermining the public trust. I want to keep bringing you this content every single day. I want to keep bringing you this show as comprehensively as I can. So help me do that by subscribing to our premium service at www.therebel.media/shows.